Welcome back. You're watching The Buck Stops here, changing focus now from politics to the world of cinema. But actually, this is cinema which is deeply political as well. Mira Nair's Reluctant Fundamentalist is one of the most anticipated releases, expected to release globally in April 2013. Mira Nair has also conceded that this perhaps is one of her most political films to date, dealing with questions, among others, of the Muslim identity in a post-9/11 world. Mira Nair is our newsmaker tonight on The Buck Stops here. Mira, you've said that The Reluctant Fundamentalist has been one of your most difficult adaptations from a book into a movie. What has been so difficult about it?
Well, the adaptation was challenging, but we knew that would be because the book is a monologue and the film is more than a dialogue. And that's sort of a normal challenge. But the extraordinary challenge of this film was really first, once we had a script that everyone admired and top cast from both sides of the world had accepted. I'm talking, you know, from Om Puri to Kiefer Sutherland to Kate Hudson to the great Riz Ahmed, who makes essentially a star-making turn as Chengez in this film. Once we had all of that together, still the raising of finance for this movie was just enormously challenging.
And you've suggested that has something to do with the content of the politics of the movie. Do you believe that? Because it had a big cast.
Yeah.
So why was it difficult to raise money?
Well, two things. One is that the climate to make serious drama, a political thriller that crosses 4 continents and is really about a global landscape, is not something that the market is loving at the moment, because it's either you make the big cartoon blockbuster that costs $150 million, or you make the $5 to $7 million indie comedy that you hope makes well, you know.
Yeah.
But the 20 million, this is much less than that. The kind of the sort of little, you know, in the middle type of serious filmmaking, no longer. I mean, it's very tough to have that support or the market, because huge systems of distribution have shut down. That's having said that. I mean, of course, the nature of The Reluctant Fundamentalist, the fact that it is an investigation of the myopia, I really think, the short-sightedness of how the West sees the East and how the East also sees the West, and the kind of breakdown of communication between these two parts of the world is not an easy thing to sell. One time, but we were smart. We didn't go to the West. I didn't want a studio behind this film, because I know the studio world, and I know the minute I have censorship on every level, the film will become a watered-down imitation.
You actually think that because of its content, had you taken it to the Western studios, they would have had a position on how,
of course,
the depiction, because it related to Muslim identity and politics
everything,
after 9/11?
Everything. I mean, the studio is a studio for a reason. When you sign up with a studio movie, they have the right to tell you pretty much what to do. In Amelia, this epic aviation film I made a few years ago, the studio used to come to the street when I would do big period sequences. 1929 was when the movie was made, and they would actually count the hats on people's heads in the crowd scenes. And I would say, why? It's a period film. People wore hats. But they would say, oh, you know, we don't want to make it fudzy-dudzy. It has to look modern. It could be a minute detail. It could be a much greater
ideological intervention.
Ideological debate. So I knew that, and I didn't go there I made it as a purely independent film. And we went to investors, private investors, in all over the world. We didn't do the Hollywood route with this film, even though we had the Hollywood actors. But even in England, for instance, where the book, Mohsin Hamid's book, sold 1.5 million copies in UK, it was in the subways, it was a major popular hit. Even there, I remember British financier, he took the liberty of getting a little tipsy at lunch, and he was the first one who told us the truth. I can give you $2 million, he said, and we just rolled our eyes. And he said, darling, you can shoot it in Rockaway Beach, but if you have a Muslim hero, this is what you're worth.
In so many words.
In so many words. And I actually thanked him, because he was the only one who said it like it is. But mostly people don't say that. They say something else, you know.
But you live in a country where the president is of Muslim origin, or half Muslim. Still, that Islamophobic?
It's the spin that has been cast, you know, from Bush 10 years ago, saying you are either with us or against us. It's the idea of really a wall built, a wall between these two worlds. And as we know, the Hollywood world has always spun stories of the American soldiers who come home in body bags or traumatized from fighting for freedom in Afghanistan and Iraq and these places. But of course we will never hear the story of the bombs that are rained down on the woman who's lost her home and family forever. And a big, huge impetus for me to make this film was that in Mohsin's novel I had the springboard to really create a dialogue, and to create a dialogue between a Pakistani man and an American man, hopefully with the same nuance and love and anguish and intimacy with which I know the two worlds.
Do you have the NDTV Profit app? All the markets, all the news, and your own homemade, ready-made portfolio available there for you.
We will right now answer what you should sell, what you should buy when markets are down.
Download at ndtvprofit.com/apps. Get the best app from the channel you trust.